If you consider gramophones, for instance, I met a gentleman who repairs and restores them. It's a hobby of his. He's a photographic technician, and you can always tell a technician by the sound of his voice. He speaks in a very precise way. This guy knows what he's talking about. Colin Eaton now giving us a little, information on gramophones. But first, I asked him, what about the old 78, the records, the vinyl records? Where does the sound come from?
Basically, the groove in the record, or the modulation of the sound, is a series of notches in a groove. And the groove, there's only one groove in a record. It starts at the starting point and it finishes at the end, and it's just one continuous groove. But on the walls of that groove are various depths of notches, and the various depths create different sound levels. And that is normally cut at the time the master disc is made, and it's cut from normally magnetic tape. When the needle is actually traversing on the record, the needle on an old type record player vibrates onto a mica disc, and that mica disc acts as an air diaphragm, and it's that causes the airwaves to be reproduced quite well from the original modulations on the record. That is then again amplified, not by electronics or sophisticated solid-state electronics, but by a horn arrangement. So if one can envisage the old hearing aid, where the old lady used to put it to her ear, and you had this large entrance area, and it was all narrowed down into a very, very small hearing area. And the gramophone works in just the reverse. The sound is put in at the small end and it comes out at the big end. And that is the form of amplification that one gets. But of course it amplifies all the little notches, scratches and everything else that's present. Reconstructed a 35, 40-year-old, well, it could be even older than that, 40-year-old portable HMV. But I have one older than that goes back possibly to the early 20s, with one of the original Garrard motors. A lot of restoration work had to be done on it because a lot of the die-cast bearings of the time were broken. But one thing I did notice about most of the units that I've restored is that there is no plastic, no man-made compounds in there at all. It's all leather cloth, wood and die-cast metal, with the occasional little bit of brass here and there just to give it a bit of finish. You're talking at records of 5 and 6p each. But there again, you hadn't got the long playing records of today. They were basically a 10-inch and a 12-inch, and of course they were played at a much faster speed, almost twice the speed of a conventional LP, and of course that in itself generated a lot more noise. So hence the hiss and the crackle that one normally associates with them. A very, very sophisticated hi-fi shop with all the modern solid-state units in the window, and I went in and stood there and asked, have you got the old needles for the 78 gramophones? And the guy turned round to me and said yes, and he took them off the shelf. And they worked out at £8 for 200.
Colin Eaton there from Coolock telling us a little bit about the workings of the gramophone.